Have you ever stopped to consider the medications you take regularly and their potential risks? Today, we're spotlighting a common painkiller that's been increasingly used worldwide, yet carries a dangerous side effect. This is no fringe issue. In the United States alone, approximately 68,000 deaths in 2020 were linked to this painkiller. Its use can lead to addiction, a risk that many may not be fully aware of. Perhaps you know someone who uses this medication, or maybe it's you who relies on it for pain relief. If you're comfortable, share in the comments below which painkiller is part of your regimen. Fortunately, today we have a myriad of options for pain relief, but this wasn't always the case. Our story begins thousands of years ago with the humble poppy plant, the root of our controversial medication. Before we dive in, let's take a trip back in time to the roots of this controversial medication. Our story starts thousands of years ago with a seemingly innocent plant, the poppy. This plant, although visually pleasing, holds a secret within its sap. When consumed, this sap created an odd cocktail of sensations: numbness, relaxation, and euphoria. This was opium, a substance that has been used and abused throughout history due to the feelings it induced. But opium also had a medicinal role, treating everything from asthma to severe injuries. However, for those solely seeking pain relief, opium's side effects were burdensome, leaving users in a state of altered consciousness. This changed in 1805, when a German scientist named Friedrich Serturner managed to isolate one of the compounds responsible for opium's analgesic, or pain-relieving effects. He named this substance morphine, which remains one of the most potent painkillers available today. As time went on, scientists discovered other natural painkillers, such as codeine, also found in opium, but with a milder effect than morphine. This was a significant advancement in pain treatment, as it was no longer necessary to use the entire poppy sap as medicine. Instead, the key substances could be isolated to achieve only the analgesic effect. These natural painkillers from opium laid the groundwork for dozens of other pain medications, collectively known as opioids. These drugs are effective against moderate to severe pain that occurs after surgery or due to advanced diseases like cancer. They are the solution for pains that are unresponsive to common medications like paracetamol. Interestingly, opioids work because they perfectly bind to essential receptors in our bodies. But how is that possible? Is it fate, or perhaps chance, that our bodies respond so perfectly to these potent substances found in nature? These natural painkillers paved the way for the development of opioids, our modern painkillers. But how do these opioids actually work in our body to relieve pain? They're not magic, but the science behind them is pretty fascinating. To understand how opioids work, we first need to understand how pain is transmitted in our bodies. When you stub your toe or burn your hand, your body sends a distress signal that travels from the site of injury, through your nervous system, and up to your brain. This is what we recognize as pain. Now, our bodies are pretty clever. They have a built-in pain management system known as endorphins. These are natural painkillers that bind to opioid receptors in the brain and spinal cord, blocking the pain signals and providing relief. That's where opioids come in. These drugs are designed to mimic our body's natural endorphins. They're like a key that fits perfectly into a lock, the opioid receptors in our brain and spinal cord. When an opioid enters your body, it travels through your bloodstream to these receptors. Once there, they block the pain signals, just like your body's natural endorphins would. But opioids don't just stop at relieving pain. They also trigger the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. This is why, in addition to pain relief, opioids can cause feelings of euphoria. It's also why they can be so addictive. The effectiveness of opioids in relieving pain is undeniable. They are incredibly useful in managing severe pain, such as that experienced after surgery or during terminal illnesses. But it is this very potency that makes them a double-edged sword. While opioids are effective at blocking pain, they can also slow down your breathing. In high doses, this can be deadly. It's a delicate balancing act, using enough to manage pain, but not so much that it becomes dangerous. Furthermore, because opioids mimic the body's natural endorphins, the body may start to rely on them, producing less of its own natural painkillers. This means that when the opioids wear off, you could potentially feel more pain than before. This is known as hyperalgesia. Then there's the issue of tolerance. Over time, the body becomes accustomed to the presence of opioids. This means that higher doses are needed to achieve the same level of pain relief. This can lead to a vicious cycle of increasing doses and escalating risks. In conclusion, understanding how opioids work in the body helps us appreciate their power and their potential drawbacks. They are a valuable tool in our pain management arsenal, but they must be used responsibly and under close medical supervision. While the pain-blocking abilities of opioids are impressive, there are also significant risks associated with their use. It's important to understand the potential dangers of opioid use. Despite their effectiveness in pain management, opioids carry a significant risk of addiction and overdose. This is due to their potent nature and the way they interact with the body's pain receptors, which we've just discussed. Opioids don't just block pain signals. They also trigger a release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with feelings of pleasure and reward. This can create a powerful sense of euphoria, leading to the desire to repeat the experience. Over time, this can lead to dependence and addiction. Physical dependence occurs when the body adjusts to the presence of the drug and experiences withdrawal symptoms when the drug is discontinued. This can happen even under the careful management of a healthcare provider. Addiction, on the other hand, is characterized by a compulsive use of the drug, despite harmful consequences. Overdose is another serious risk associated with opioid use. High doses can cause breathing to slow or stop, which can lead to death. In the United States, opioid overdose deaths have reached staggering proportions. In 2020, for instance, opioids were involved in nearly 70,000 deaths, a figure that underscores the gravity of this issue. Furthermore, long-term use of opioids can lead to a condition called opioid-induced hyperalgesia. This is a paradoxical situation where the individual becomes more sensitive to pain. The misuse of opioids is a serious public health issue. It's crucial to remember that while these drugs can be a useful tool for managing severe pain, they're not a one-size-fits-all solution. They should be used judiciously and under the close supervision of a healthcare provider. In conclusion, opioids are powerful drugs with a significant risk of addiction and overdose. They should be used with caution and respect for their potential to cause harm. The decision to use opioids should be made in consultation with a healthcare provider, taking into consideration the potential benefits and risks. So while opioids can be a crucial tool in pain management, they should be used with caution. Let's summarize what we've learned about opioids. Our journey began thousands of years ago with a seemingly innocent plant, the poppy. Hidden within its beautiful bloom lay a sap that brought about a strange mix of numbness, relaxation, and euphoria. This sap, known as opium, was the root of our modern-day painkillers. Fast forward to 1805, a German scientist named Friedrich Zertner identified one of the substances in opium responsible for its pain-relieving effects. He called this substance morphine, which to this day remains one of the most potent painkillers available. Over time, scientists identified other natural pain-relieving substances such as codeine, also present in opium but with a milder effect. These natural painkillers from opium laid the foundation for a group of drugs we now call opioids. These potent medications are effective against moderate to severe pain, such as that experienced after surgery or due to advanced diseases like cancer. They offer a solution for pain that doesn't respond to common drugs like paracetamol. So, how do these opioids work? They function because they bind perfectly to significant receptors in our body. When you feel pain, your neurons send signals to your brain, which you understand as discomfort. These signals can't last forever, and our body has molecules that regulate these neurons to ensure that, when opioids bind to these receptors, neurons simply can't carry the pain signal to the brain anymore. However, we've also learned that these potent painkillers come with a significant risk. They have the potential to cause addiction, and misuse can lead to tragic consequences, as seen with the approximately 68,000 people who lost their lives due to opioid misuse in the United States in the year 2020. The next time you reach for a painkiller, remember the power and potential danger it holds. Always use medications responsibly and under the guidance of a healthcare professional.